It's Easter Sunday here in Cheshire. Being something of a cultural Christian, even though I'm not a believer, I can't help thinking about God at a time like this. Mostly in terms of what on earth does that word mean. But what I've just been thinking about, partly because I'm planning to go and visit my mum later on today, so I'm thinking about my mum, and that's kind of colouring my thoughts about matters religious as well. And I guess I'm thinking about this role that the notion of God has in terms of redemption and relief and comfort and those kind of things. Certainly a lot of people who are in very dire situations seem to hold a belief in God. And I'm reminded of something that was in an article by A.N. Wilson, I think it was, which was posted on Richard Dawkins' website, where he said something like, only the privileged can afford to be atheists. Which was, it was intended to be a kind of a dig at atheism. But for me, I rang in the opposite direction, that religion is kind of the last resort of people who are in very desperate situations. And the reason why that ties in with my mum is not because she was religious, although she was very religious apparently when she was a girl. Her father was a preacher, my granddad was a preacher. But she certainly wasn't very religious when I was small. We used to go to Sunday school, but I think it was just to give her a couple of hours off on a Sunday. But one of the things that she did have in terms of, and it's going to sound so sacrilegious I guess, one of the things that she did do was that every weekend, every Thursday or Friday, as it comes towards the weekend, she would do this competition in the newspaper. It was called Spot the Ball, and it was like a game of chance. It was before lotteries and before all those sort of things. It was basically a game of chance with quite large sums of money attached to the prizes. And every week she would say, "Oh, we're going to win this week. We're going to win this week." And it doesn't sound like, on the face of it, it just sounds like your average greed. But I don't think that's what it was about, not just for my mum, but for people in general, really. It was about a kind of relief from hardship and a relief from difficulties. There wasn't a lot of cash about when I was a kid. My parents split up when I was very small, so my mum brought up myself and my brother and my sister on £4 a week that she got from working in a cotton mill. And money was very, very tight. So I think when my mum was kind of doing this secular prayer to the Daily Mirror newspaper once a week, it certainly wasn't about acquisition of wealth. She wasn't really bothered about wealth. Still isn't, actually. In fact, the only time I ever heard her say that she wanted something was in relation to something she saw in a shop window. I asked her, I said, "Is there anything you've ever wanted?" And she said, "I was walking past this shop window, Billinies, it's called, this particular shop, in a small town in the northeast of England. I was walking past Billinies," she said, "and there was a fish kettle in the window." Now, I had no idea what a fish kettle was, but apparently it's a kind of pan used for cooking fish. And she said, "I really wanted that fish kettle, but we couldn't afford it. And I've always wanted that fish kettle." So that's the nearest thing she's come to acquisitional sort of relationships to cash. But she has, definitely wanted redemption from the poverty. Because certainly at times it was really quite difficult when we were small. It's fine for us kids. We were perfectly happy. I had a great childhood. It must have been terrible for poor old Elsie, my mum. I remember her going through a wardrobe, and thinking, which clothes can I take out? And she would take out clothes and take them to the local market, try and sell them. That kind of stuff. So it did get very hairy at times. And I think the appeal to the Spot the Ball competition was this kind of nebulous, abstract appeal for relief and consolation, and a kind of redemption, I guess, a kind of lifting out of this situation and putting into a different place, not an aspiration towards wealth and luxury, but just a relief from anguish. And I think in some ways that's the same role that God and religion plays in many people's lives. And it's perhaps no coincidence in the case of my mum that that she kind of lost her Christian faith at some point, I don't know when, and found faith in Spot the Ball, but it seems to play out a similar kind of role, I suppose. I'm sure there's lots of other things that God does, and religion, and functions that religion serves. But some of it, I think, is easily served by the lottery, or the premium bonds, or Spot the Ball competitions.